Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading with me, Cindy. Sagittarius, I hope you're having a good holiday, or I guess holidays are kind of over now, aren't they? We're getting ready for the new year. Tomorrow, as I'm recording this, is the last day of 2021. Well then, so Sagittarius, we're going to talk to the fairies, or we're going to let the fairies talk to you. And then I've actually pulled out, why not? I've started talking. It's usually the time for wax to start moving around in my mouth. I've pulled out my Steampunk Tarot. And then I have my teeny tiny Rider-Waite deck, if I need to clarify. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, what do I think? What else do I need to say? It's general. Because it's general, it may or may not resonate. If it does resonate and you're drawn to it, there will be an extended. The link to that is at the top of the description within this video. So, Sag, I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know what I'm feeling a little bit spicy and frisky. I haven't sat at my table for 5 days. There was a few videos that came out, but I pre-recorded stuff. So now, here we are, Sag. And with the fairies, I'm reading them very intuitively, as well as very artistically. The artwork, what the artwork is speaking as well. So, Sagittarius. Okay. Past and future. Past and future. Interesting. Past and future is what I'm hearing for you. Not the present. I guess you know what's going on. In the past, you had Lies of the Shadows. Lies of the Shadows. That's a great card. That's kind of like the social worker of the deck. This is the person that goes into dark corners and dark alleys and finds people who are really destitute, really, could have even been, so it could be things that you have done for people in the past or things that you did for yourself to get out of darkness. Now, I really think what's interesting though, is with this card, usually you can't really pull others out of some level of darkness unless you've experienced it. Unless you've experienced it personally, or unless you've just, you know, someone who's really honed their skills, their knowledge. Like I have a friend who's a social worker, and her life was actually pretty good as far as I understand. So, but she's gained a lot of experience through her years of being a social worker. And it's just like, there's some level of experience here that's coming into play with pulling light out of the dark, with finding a reason for the darkness. So that's where you were in the past. It really does, though, for the most part, come off more like the social worker energy. So you doing this for other people. I really like the 4-4 at the top of the card, too, that Brian, the creator of the deck, decided to number this 44 as sort of like the social worker of the fairy realm. Just being like really divinely guided also. Going into places that are harder, a lot of places where a lot of people won't go. Okay, in the future, it's curious we're not to talk about your present. In your future for Sagittarius. The gland coner. All right, that makes sense. Okay, I'm looking at it and I'm just really noticing how he looks like he's growing all these wings, like he's ready to take flight somewhere. And then I looked at the number 62. 6 and 2 is 8, so ready to move forward. Yeah, ready to, I feel like in the future, you're going to be in a very communicative energy, a very communicative cycle. You're going to be flying forward. And he's so curious. There's almost like a face that appears in his third eye area. So there's a sense of knowing, like having a really fixed on whatever your goal is here, being really fixed on your goal. And geez, there's just like almost no way to hold you back from it in the future. It's because of all these little wing-like things that are spreading from his collarbone, from his elbows, from his head. Very, like, very mercurial energy too. I think the Eight of Wands is actually Mercury in Sagittarius. And the 8, like, that's what that's reminding me of. So I want to, yeah, like, going from really helping others a lot in the past to having some sort of a stronger self-focus here. Communication and movement. I really see that for you in the future. Well, aren't you something? Look what you got at the bottom. You got 2 cards. You got the Oakman. That's pretty special. No one's had that at the bottom this week. And then you have the Master Maker. Wow. 22, again, related to the 44. Work that you've done in the past has made you masterful at something. Has made you very masterful at something. I want to say as well that there's some sort of personal message here to you from the Oakman. Like some sort of sense of guidance. The Oakmen, I feel, are one of the oldest entities on Earth. And it's not like an oak tree. It doesn't really move. It just observes and it's present. And it's very knowing and very wise. And whatever you've done here in the past, it's sort of caught the attention or the recognition of the energy of the Oakmen. Because they observe and they watch. And in doing that, they just learn so much. They just accumulate. I'm hearing data, so much information. I'm also getting this as a very, personal message here about, like, the Oakman guiding you forward. It's almost as if you've accumulated or you have attained some level of, self-awareness through helping others and using that knowledge to take you somewhere new in the future. But you won't be alone, like the Oakman here. That's really profound. And then this feels like the energy of like where you're going in the future. You're kind of going from, because I'm seeing this too. I'm seeing this little guy's reminding me like a little Oakman, like a baby Yoda. You know, they all started, doesn't matter how old anybody or anything is, they all started off as a little acorn or a little baby, an infant, a child, an adolescent, all those stages. And it's kind of like you're going on some sort of a journey that's very similar to that, where you will, I feel like, go through some sort of exploration here. Perhaps there will be some level of travel for you. I do feel that you will have an opportunity to express yourself in ways that you haven't had the opportunity to express yourself in the past. And kind of starting off as like the sapling of an Oakman energy. Very grounded, very knowing, but there's so much more to learn and know. The Master Maker, taking what you've mastered in the past, applying that for what you will master forward in your life. Sitting here thinking, I hope I hit record. Because I have my phone turned the other way, so I can't see the screen, so I'm more focused on the reading. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Oh, come on now, stop it. All my cards have gone like a complete 180 here. They all want to be shuffled this way, outwardly. Okay. See, look at how well they behave then. That's such a funny thing. All right, let's look at your past and your future. I kind of feel like too, in a little bit like, you know, this feels more like the present energy for you. It feels like a present energy. It kind of snuck in the underline. I need to clarify that card. Knight of Pentacles, Page of Cups, Ace of Wands. Okay, so for Lace of the Shadows, in the past you had the Knight of Wands, the Judgment card, and the Knight of Cups. It's really curious that you have the Judgment card sitting in the middle here in the past, and then in the future you have Justice sitting in the middle. The only time a major arcana appears, and they're both quite significant. Like, feels like it has something to do with a laid out path for you on some level. So in the future, you have the Five of Wands, you have Justice, and you have the Ten of Cups, or the Three of Cups. That's so weird that I would say that. Maybe it will become something greater than what it begins. So what I find so intriguing about this Justice card is that she's dropping the tarot cards. She's dropping them. So she's finding, I feel you, he, they, whoever you are finding some answer. You're going to get some sort of answer in the future that's going to give you a deeper and stronger insight than what you have, like perhaps currently. Because you are in the making the master. So you're mastering something here, but it feels more like it's in the making. And it is literally starting off as something like a sapling of the oak man. So it's the young oak man, it's the young tree. It's still on some level having like a large canopy around you where you have not reached the true height of what the oak would be. Still being young, sitting in the shadows a little bit of some energies around you, some people, like it could be family, friends, work, but you are sitting in that energy. But I see it, so this is almost too like feeling like the sapling, like something collapsing in the forest. And it's often what the younger trees are waiting for, is for a large tree in the vicinity to fall down or to die and no longer be shading that area. So there's going to be something that's going to happen. Curious with the Five of Wands, because this is competing for the light, competing for the source of growth. And you get Justice, and you get it. And I feel like you go forward with at least one or two other people here. It could be a new endeavor for you. It sort of has the feeling of these, like you, this little sapling in the forest. The darkness too in the forest. The Nine of Wands. I would imagine it gets very tiring for a small tree to constantly sort of live in a sense of stasis where very little upper canopy growth occurs because there's very little light coming down to the floor where you are. But there's a lot of root system that will, like, that's an opportunity to spread out the roots, to have a really strong foundation in the darkness. Not to say that this isn't tiring, because it probably is a lot more tiring to get your roots to go around rocks and other roots and stumps and clay, combat insects and all other sorts of things that are in the ground. That's exhausting, whereas opposed to, you know, just easily seeking the growth that you make going forward. So this is an internal growth. This is developing a root system in the past. This is becoming much stronger will, a much stronger sense of foundation, and knowing what is yours. Because it's like claiming that space that you occupy in the forest. And it is dark, but I feel like something, and to this also like all these branches growing off, and that's what would happen when a big tree comes down or just dies and it's no longer producing foliage. So all this light comes into the forest floor, and then you're going to grow. So it's like literally, if I want to make it more tangible, something that's more grounded in your life, it literally feels like you've been biding your time for something and you're about to get an opportunity. And this opportunity is going to give you the potential to grow where you've perhaps been wanting to and hoping to and watching for, but not having the opportunity not being there. It's, on some level, it feels a little bit like a tower moment, you know, this mighty tree. So it could be something that represents something oppressive, something that's been there long before you. But Justice, the way she drops the cards, no longer needing to ask. You know your answer. You have the answer. You see the light. And the Three of Cups, you know, what I'm getting with this is you and two other saplings. I don't know. It might be two other saplings, whatever it could be, but always kind of being separated in the forest, but maybe having come from the original tree, the acorns. There's some sort of past connection between you and someone else or some other small group of people. It feels very intimate, but I did call it the Ten of Cups. So it also feels like something that will naturally grow on its own. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's like, okay, you're three little acorns and you're sitting on this mighty oak. It's actually the foundation that created you that will collapse. And that could be your understanding of it. It could be, like, let's say you've been going to school for a dog's age, getting a master's, a bachelor's, a doctorate, whatever you could have been doing. And then you walk out the door and now you're applying everything you learned. So it's like you're leaving that mighty oak behind and you are now the sapling growing. But I see like these three little acorns on a branch together, starting off together, and then you fall to the forest floor and you're in different places. You can barely see each other. Maybe at some point your roots connect. It's really kind of beautiful. It's almost like your roots kind of connect underground, but your branches, your leaves don't touch. And then waiting and waiting and waiting and doing the internal work and whatever that could be for you. But here with the Knight of Cups, this is what serves your heart, the judgment. It's almost like you're sitting here in the past and you can see that old tree is starting to die. You could see it in the fall. You could see that it changed color much sooner than it should have, which is often a sign that a tree is in some sort of distress. It changed color much sooner, like a full month before the other trees. A lot of the leaves, it didn't suck up nutrients. They just kind of withered. Like you saw the signs here with judgment. You felt a new calling for yourself in the past. And with the Knight of Cups, it's almost like starting to see the light. Sitting in winter, and realizing, really feeling, kind of knowing that tree is not going to wake up in the winter. It's not going to shadow me. I'm going to get the light. And that really serves your heart. It really serves your inspiration to grow. And then, yeah, in the future, it's almost like that sense of spring. And it's almost often the one opportunity you had as a sapling, because such a big tree like that takes a very long time for all that sap to go up the trunk, that massive trunk, and to get to those. You'll see that, right? The really big trees, they take much longer. All the smaller trees will already have their foliage, but the big ones are still trying. But that opportunity, what was often just in the spring, a small opportunity for you, it actually feels like something more sustainable, to where you start growing and branching out and you connect with those other two acorns again. Each one of you has grown and connected again somehow. I mean, it could even be someone that you knew from a time ago and there's been distance between you and you're going to connect again. And something that's been very dark and looming, like a pandemic, I don't know, has been shadowing. But, you know, it could be something else very specific to your life. The Knight of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. Oh, geez, this whole thing, I'm really drawn to that plane. I really feel like some of you might be going somewhere. Some sort of travel here. There's really a sense of some kind of tower moment. And I don't mean a tower moment of catastrophic destruction around you. Oh, no. The Ten of Pentacles. I thought it was the Ten of Cups, but it's funny. It's in the reverse. This is almost like this firefighter. He's walking forest ranger. I don't know what to call him. Is there a different term for those that fight the fires in the forest? A forest firefighter? You know, taking it step by step and making sure all these little places where something burned through. I mean, that's also a sense of you starting over again. Like all of the weeds, everything being burned out and having this opportunity to move forward. And like something kind of burning through, but taking your time here. The Five of Wands. This is where it feels like to compete. But I feel like it's an open competition. Judgment, the Two of Wands. It's what you sensed. It's literally something that you sensed in the past that would be an opportunity for you in the future. And you've been like hoping and waiting and watching and anticipating it with the Two of Wands. And there it shows up. This is your time to compete. And it is. It's almost like reaching for the light. But I really feel like, you know, there's maybe others that are going to be reaching for this light. But you've created, like with this Nine of Wands, it really feels like you've used all the time that you could to get your roots out. So because you've got your roots out really far and broad, you're going to have access to a much more varied element of nutrients to feed you. So like your experience, your a variety of experiences here to serve you to move forward. Whereas some of these other little saplings maybe didn't do that so much. Maybe they tried to make their leaves really, really big. If they couldn't make too many of them, I'm going to make them really, really big. It looks really showy. Ah, isn't that interesting? It looks really showy. I look like I'm winning here, being in the forest, by displaying these great big leaves. Where you weren't working on the showy, you were working on the deeper nutrients that would support you when your opportunity was there to grow. And it's coming. The Justice card. This feels like getting an answer. The way she's throwing the tarot cards away. Wow. It's like it's like your free pass to go. The World. So completing a cycle, and then there, let's start again and feel the Fool. How ideal is that? To complete the major arcana and start again. And then when you start again, you start with the Knight of Wands, you start with excitement, you start with the sense and the energy, like really being like pepped up and really ready to go and inspired and excited. And the Six of Cups, that really feels like the energy where you connect in the canopy again. You actually become the ones that, I will say, overshadow what's below. But it's just a cycle. It's a cycle of life. But you meet again. It's really beautiful. To think of that, you know, those little acorns sitting there together on that branch. And then they fall to the forest floor and they end up distanced from each other. And then when they grow, they connect again. The Three of Cups. Oh, well then, the King of Swords, Temperance, and the Empress. Oh, I see a transformation here. I see you transforming. You transform when you get to the top of the canopy. This is strategy. This is really strong. This is going from like a really strong strategic outlook, plan. And then coming out over here Like you're going to alchemize, going from the King of Swords to the Empress, whether you're male or female, masculine or feminine. This is the canopy. You will produce. You will give life to that around you. Like think about, you know, as a little tiny sapling, you're providing life on some level. Maybe the little animals that chew on your bark or eat your leaves, which could actually be costly, die because you're such a small little plant. But when you really sprout out and you spread your branches, birds, squirrels, bears, all sorts of little creatures will live in this canopy that you create, insects. And you know, because we're talking about oak, I'm sort of thinking more like Northern Hemisphere, but you know, this, you go into more tropical places and what this tree can produce and how its canopy can connect with others. And what you'll make with this is really quite beautiful. So you played your strategy correct all along, and you have the Three of Cups again at the bottom. Three of Cups, Three of Cups. It coming together. Your strategy, whatever strategy that you've been working on in your life, it may not have looked like it was going to produce anything because you weren't being showy. You weren't, instead of growing your roots really deeply, you weren't just, oh, I can only make 5 leaves with the amount of light that I get. I'm going to make them so big, I'm going to intimidate all the other little saplings around me. No, you were getting yourself ready for a transformation, really, in a way, and the strategy served you, and it's going to serve you really, really well with the Empress energy. So that's what I have, Sagittarius. How absolutely beautiful. I'm going to go to the extended. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye-bye.